Hey everyone, for this short video we'll be looking at shading, which is kind of a more advanced technique for those of you who have been in Express for a minute. You can see I have a drawing here of a badger, and so let's take a moment. We want to pay attention though to a couple of things. One would be what coloring mode we're in, our background color, and so on. We'll select that background color in just a moment. Let's take a look at our tools though. We can use the brush here. If we select the brush and we're in coloring mode, we start here and it won't go outside the lines for us, which is kind of nice. If we pick the fill tool, the bucket, just tapping in an area will fill that in. So we get a nice, easy way to color in our creature and do it very quickly. So let's get this one here and the ear. And now we've got this little area along the sides. I like that to be a little bit darker gray. So I'm going to choose custom and then drag this down just a touch. So we'll go darker gray here, maybe around the muzzle just a little bit right there. This side also. Now you'll notice with the bucket tool, it's staying in the space. And the trick to this is if there are any gaps in any of these outside lines, then that will spill out and color the entire space. Let's pick a background color now. So if we choose background, and we'll make this background color a nice light blue. Oh, look what happens. These areas were transparent. So now we get to come back and do just a little trick to make it interesting. So I'm going to select the brush tool, make sure I'm in the coloring mode, and I want white in some of these spots. So I'm going to just paint in this area to be white. I don't think badgers have a blue nose, so I'll come back and take care of that in just a moment. So we can select a nice pink maybe for this and then go to custom. It gets us close. Maybe we'll drag that over and get something that's a little more flesh tone. Okay, so now we've got our badger pretty much ready. What we want to try now though is shading. So to do shading, we need our brush tool. We'll select this soft round brush here. And then you can choose either black or gray. It doesn't matter which one because we're going to really gray it anyway. So if you notice here on this panel, we've got our eyedropper, we've got all our colors, but we also have this opacity slider. So I'm going to drag that way down, maybe something like 38, 21, somewhere in there, 32. So what happens now is that our brush will be partly see-through. So we can come in here with the brush now and just do a little shading in some different areas. And I think I'm going to change that. That's not what I like. I'm going to make that brush a little bit bigger and take the opacity a little bit lower. And then we can just kind of do our coloring here where you can see it's basically the same color, but we're getting a little bit of shade going on. So now I've got this shading happening. We'll come up here, maybe put a little bit down each side like this. Maybe get it out to the edge of this one. We'll do some other stuff with that in a minute. The more I color in one area, the darker it will get. So you can use your undo right there. The other option as well is that you can come in here and you can highlight stuff by changing your shading color to be something else. For example, I can choose white, keep my opacity slider. See right now it's fully white. That's a little bit much, right? But if I take my opacity slider and drag that back down into that area of 20 or 30, it's still a pretty chunky brush, but I can come in here now and do some highlights. So it gives the face a little more depth and makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. Also makes the kids want to ask you, how did you do that? Which is about my favorite question when I'm working with students. How did you do that? So you can see right now, put a little highlight here on its nose just to make that come around. And maybe we want some to give it some shape up here along the top of the head. So we get this more dimensional look. Maybe come down here and add, don't like that one very much. Just come down here and add just a little shading around the eyes. Okay, so as you can see, we get a lot better effect when we do shading. Remember to use your opacity slider, which is this guy. And then you can just come in and select your brush. I like a really big brush, one that's got plenty of space on it, and I like that soft round brush. So hopefully that gives you enough to practice with this. I was using a stylus, so if you have access to an iPad, that would be a good way to go. All right, meanwhile, have an awesome day.